to the astro forecast for the week of October 4th to October 10th. So we are now into the fourth quarter moon, and which means the moon is losing light and it's kind of moving into the new moon phase, which will happen on Wednesday, October 6th. So we start off the week in the first quarter moon phase, which means as the moon is winding down, we tend to not have as much energy. So if you are a Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces, or you have a lot of Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces in your chart, you might feel a little tired. That's okay. If you're feeling that, that is completely normal. It doesn't mean something's wrong with you unless it's chronic, of course, but it's time that you're starting to not feel as much oomph towards something. The moon has a lot of pull over us here on planet Earth, especially because we contain so much water. So at this phase, Tuesday, October 5th, we have a Mercury in conjunct, which means 150-degree angle to Neptune, and both planets are retrograde. So I want you to remember at this time, there are five planets in retrograde right now. So half of the planets are now moving slower than the Earth, which means a lot of this energy is reflecting inward. And after the 18th of October, the majority of these planets will be moving forward once again. But that momentum between now and then is going to shift. And so having that shift, you will notice the energy in yourself changing as well. So five planets retrograde means that that energy that would now be we would be doing outside of ourselves is now reflected back into ourselves. So this Mercury in conjunct to Neptune retrograde, Mercury retrograde as well here. This is a bit of a confusing time, right? It's our mind and our ability to process information. Libra is a very brilliant sign, and Neptune in Pisces is very ethereal, very foggy. We're almost sort of feeling confused, not sure what to believe to be true. And during Mercury retrograde, it's a really great time to discern, not act. This is a good energy for listening. Okay, so this is a day that you're not going to sign any contracts. Mercury's in retrograde, so it's not a good time to sign contracts, finalize any negotiations. But this is going to be a time to sort of see how you can discern using your intuition and maybe some inward introspection. If things are a little murky on this day, give it time. Okay, don't act on anything rashly on this day. Deep conversations on this day could be okay, but doing it for curiosity versus judgment. I hope you're not having any conversations for judgment. Wednesday, October 6th is a new moon in Libra. Now, Libra is such a beautiful sign. I've talked about we are in Libra season, obviously. The moon and the sun are on the same degree, which is the 13th degree of Libra. So if you have a birthday around this time or a few days after within this date, it means this is a year of new beginnings for you. Lots of things are going to be starting up. Now, it can be good because yay for new beginnings, and it can be hard because yay, new beginnings. You've never traveled down this path before, so it feels a little murky or you're not sure what to expect. So it can be a little bit surprising or unexpected things happen on this year if you're born or you have a birthday around a new moon on that year of the new moon. So Pluto goes direct on this day. So there's one planet moving direct in Capricorn. He's a very slow moving planet. So I almost sort of say it's like the tsunami, it takes time to gain momentum. So when he's stationary direct, it feels intense, but we don't know why. It almost sort of feels like something's weird today. So you might feel a little intense on this day. Now, there's other reasons as well. Libra is an air sign, and it's considered a cardinal air sign. So it's got ideas, it has inspiration, it wants to go and do things. And at the time of this new moon, there are 6 planets in air. So air is about inspiration, ideas, intellect, big ideas and things that we're sort of thinking about doing, but it doesn't have any grounding. There are 2 planets in earth signs at this time, but 6 planets in air signs can make you feel a little, like taken away with things, a little flighty, a little airheaded. It feels a little bit ungrounded on this day. So today will be a really good day, especially for the next couple of days of this new moon, that we might feel this effect because we've got a lot of planets in Libra during this time, 4 planets in Libra. Not a lot, but still enough energy there in air signs as well to help us feel a little bit off our center, a little not ungrounded. So doing grounded exercises, keeping your feet flat on the ground, going out earthing, putting your feet in the grass. Might be a little cold at this time, or on the earth, doing meditations where you can feel yourself pulling plant roots into the ground. In my Intuition 101 classes, we do that, where we pull the roots into the ground and ground ourselves. It's a really helpful tool. If that's something that's interesting to you, Intuition 101 registration is now open as well. Link in my bio, or you can just email me as well. I'll send you the information. So on this day of the new moon, the sun and the moon are at the same degree, and Mars is at the same degree. Mars rules our motivation, our desires, our energy, our vitality to move forward, our egoic will. The sun is our vitality. It's kind of how we shine our light. And the moon is our emotions. It's our intuition. It's our nurturing, our divine feminine side. And then Mercury is also within 7 degrees. We call it sort of orb, or being an orb of 7 degrees within this new moon as well. So, and Mercury being our mind, our intellect, the way that we process information. So we have a lot of planets in air, especially these personal planets. We call them their internal planets. They rule parts of our personality. So in the collective, this can be a very sensitive time where, again, we feel a little bit ungrounded. You might be very prone to crying because there's trines to Jupiter, which is a very helpful aspect. Jupiter expands our emotions, expands our intellect. It is an expansive, optimistic planet. So we might be feeling optimistic and looking at big ideas and having big thoughts about things. And then there's also a trine to Venus, trine to Neptune on this. And Neptune is intuition, creativity, and Venus is what we love and value. And she is sitting in Scorpio at this time. So there's kind of this want to do and have these big ideas, and I just feeling when I want to do this with my hands. So this could be a time where you're feeling very optimistic. But there is a square to Venus, square to Jupiter, and there's also a Mercury square to Pluto, which are kind of, be careful that you're not being so optimistic that you're running your mouth or you're overcommitting yourself to things. Venus square to Jupiter is be careful not to want too much. So this is imbibing too much. So imbibing, imbuing, drinking too much, eating too much, spending too much money, laziness, indulging too much. Those are all the too muches of Venus square to Jupiter. So be careful that you're not kind of, the vibe on this day is like you're so optimistic, so creative, you're committing to a lot of things that later on with Mercury retrograde, you're going to regret it, or you're going to spread yourself too thin. So just be careful with that. The moon is also in conjunct to Uranus. This is going to encourage you to have boundaries. And again, that's that promising too much, wanting to be so much more than, because you're having this, like, you're feeling good, right? It's almost like you're pumped up, your ego is pumped up, and you'll find out later that you've overcommitted. So just be careful with that. Thursday, October 7th, Venus moves into Sagittarius. So Venus is moving out of Scorpio, which is a fixed water sign. It is deep, it is passionate, it is healing. It is a lot of that deep, dark shadow work that we love to do. You may not love it. I'm a Scorpio rising. I love it. And it's moving into this fiery, mutable sign of just like adventure, excitement, optimism. Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter, which is optimism, expansion. And Jupiter at this time is retrograde, and it's in Aquarius. So it's, a lot about kind of society, community, what is happening with the world. Now, Venus moving into Sagittarius, there's a couple things with this. Fire signs, especially at this time of the time that we are in, this time it can give fire to infections and viruses and things like that. So just being careful at this time. But this is the time where we really want to socialize. Like, Sagittarius is a very social sign. It's adventure seeking. It loves freedom to go and do. It's intense. It moves out of intensity into buoyancy is kind of the nice way to think about it. So we're less focused, unfortunately, but it's romantic, it's adventure, love and knowledge, and it's a little bit blunt. Sagittarius don't have filters because they're like, yay, this is something I want. And then you're just like, oh, But they don't realize that they've hurt anyone's feelings. They just were talking and being truthful and, looking for higher meanings in things, and sometimes externalizing their thought process, that then it just kind of goes into a different direction. So be careful with that. On this day, the moon is square to Pluto and square to Saturn. So this can feel like restrictive days, feeling boxed in. And with Venus moving into Sagittarius, it feels like we want to be free, but we can't. So this is a day that feels like either restrictions are going to be heightened or restrictions will still be in place at this time, is my prediction. Friday, October 8th, the sun is coming to sit with Mars. Now, Sun and Mars are kind of already together this whole week because of just the way things are working out. The sun and Mars are moving together for this week, kind of almost at a bit of the same speed. Mars is a little bit faster. And so what's happening is there's a lot of energy, initiative, motivation, right? Mars is our motivation, our egoic will to move forward. And our sun is our vitality and our identity as an individual. The sun is our identity that we incarnate as in this lifetime. So my identity is Sheetal Story, and this is my identity. And Mars is my egoic will. How do I feel about being Sheetal Story? And the ego is that part of our brain that's always trying to keep us safe, right? It's judgment, it's protection, it's identity. It's good things. It's good things. If we didn't have it, we'd be dead. Right? I'd be flying down the street naked as the day is long, giving away all my money with flowers in my hair, right? And that wouldn't be pretty for anybody. So we want to have that egoic will, but we want it to be in balance with our intuition as well, and not so, running away with our ego. So what this day is going to do is pump up that ego a little bit and to make sure that it's being, kind of put in check as well. So when our ego is in check, it is vibing with our intuition, it is productive. We feel like that energy is moving somewhere. So when the sun and the moon and Mars come together, there's a lot of energy pent up in us. And if we can find an outlet that feels productive and good, like cleaning out your house, balancing your checkbook. I don't know if anyone does have a checkbook anymore. Doing the things that are doing your banking, weeding the garden. I know it's kind of late now for that. Maybe, I don't know, I'm not a gardener. Or, breaking leaves or something like that, physical, working it out, doing something really labor intensive. That is a good use of this energy. If you do not use this energy, it will sit and become anger, frustration, even violence. And what I think we'll see around the world at this time will be some either violent uprisings or people getting really upset with the way that life is at this point, that it's not fair in Libra, right? We want fairness. And when the ego's out of check, we feel like it's not fair. We blame other people, as opposed to seeing both sides of it and seeing how we contributed to the situation and then owning that to try to find some way across the divide or across to where we want to go. So this day has a propensity to be very productive and positive for you, or if you're not using the energy, it can be very destructive. So some words for that is anger, frustration, aggressive, accidents. So you can be very accident prone on this day as well. Mars rules cars, so just being very careful when you're driving on this day. And I think we're going to see a little bit of anger. So channel it positively if you can. Saturday, October 9th, the sun is coming to sit with Mercury retrograde. So Mercury retrograde at this time, and then Mars is also in the mix once again. So again, that's kind of continuing on from the new moon, in Libra on Wednesday. And on Saturday, what this is going to combine to do is we're going to get a lot of ideas, a lot of great ideas, introspection, healing, kind of reviewing things. Again, that's Mercury. Introspective look at relationships because it's in Libra, reflecting on what has been and what is happening. And this is really important, is to not act on these ideas. If you have this brilliant idea for a new business, think about it, sit on it. Don't do anything until Mercury goes direct on October 18th, because you might find that you made a mistake or you jumped the gun or you got a lemon. Just wait. Develop the idea a little bit deeper for the next 9 days. Introspective look at relationships. We talked about that. And Also, lots of idea, motivations, quick thinking, mental acuity, learning, mental alertness, personal interactions, lots of appointments and interactions with people, because Mercury loves to interact with everyone else. It's our relationships. And it could be close relationships or even on Zoom. I mean, their interaction, sharing ideas, making plans, negotiating, because of Libra. This will be a great time for mediation and understanding someone else's point of view on something you've been going through. So let's say, for example, you are against the vax and you want to, or you're kind of scared about it, or you're wanting to wait. And so you're having a conversation about, why do you want to wait, and what's holding you back from that, and understanding the other perspective. Same thing as if you are a pro and you've got it and you don't understand why people aren't, maybe having a really sweet, listening, curious conversation with somebody who is not, and understanding what they're bringing to the table and why, and what is that, what does it mean for them. So understanding, because the fact of the matter is we all want the same thing. We want this to be over. We want to go back to some sort of normalcy. We want to see people. We want to travel. We want to have connection. We want great mental health. We want our old life back to an extent. And we're never going to get the old life back. There'll be a new life, but similar in some ways. But that connection, that travel, that being free to go and do and not worry that someone might get sick, everybody wants that. Nobody wants anyone to die. Nobody wants, a tax on the healthcare, taxing the healthcare system in terms of how bad it kind of can be or can get or has been. And hopefully, we can come through this together, because we all want the same things. So, and I think I talked about this in previous videos. I had to do an assignment for my class in one of my classes in elementary school. And we had to write, almost like a debate class, where we had to write for or against a viewpoint. And I had to write against allowances, even though I so wanted an allowance. And it's just kind of not done in our culture to give allowances, or my parents didn't do it. My cousins have never got allowance either. But yeah, and so I had to write for the viewpoint that it was against what I believed in. But by the end of it, I really understood why my parents didn't want to give me an allowance. And I was able to sort of win the debate because it was on an intellectual level, not because you suck, it was more like who came up with the best arguments for their points. And I ended up winning. And it was so cool because, number one, who doesn't like to win? But I understood the idea of Libra, of finding compromise, of seeing both sides of the coin, so that you can understand each other and have compassion for the other side as well. So yeah, if that helped, I hope that helps you, because that is really what this time really needs. And then Sunday, October 10th, Saturn goes direct. Now, for me, Saturn is pretty prominent in my chart because of the planets that it kind of surrounds and the aspects that he makes. But Saturn in general is about its father time. It is the taskmaster. He is, you think of that old stern dad, not old, stern but firm dad that is loving but holding you to task on things. That's Saturn. It is father time, as I mentioned, structure, duty, responsibility, all those fun things that no one wants to do. So Saturn has been making its way back through in only a few degrees, but still so potent, because he's a slow mover, and he's very concentrated when he's in retrograde. And so in Aquarius, it's about, number one, Aquarius is the things that are unseen through the air. So you can think about that as infection, virus. Again, it's just a technology is like that too. The internet, right? Who knows how the internet gets to this? I don't understand that. That's Aquarius. It's this conundrum of how did that happen? I don't know. Aquarius. So Aquarius, Saturn has been moving through Aquarius. And when he was going back through the degrees or retrogrades, going slower than the Earth, he's not actually going backward in the sky. He is tasking us with responsibility. Are we doing what we came here to do? Are we fulfilling our purpose? Are we being responsible to community? Aquarius is community, humanitarianism, the steward to the earth. Those are all very Aquarian things. So Saturn was asking us as a collective, Are you doing the responsible thing? And of course, as he went retrograde from May till now, he has really asked us, did we learn the lesson of the vid? Did we? And arguably the fourth wave has been the hardest wave and the worst by far than any others, especially for us here in Alberta, Canada. So this is a time where Saturn is now going to say, did you do the work? Did you be responsible? Did you look after each other? Did you follow up with your passion? Whatever area that Saturn was moving over in your chart, as he moves forward now through those degrees, he's going to reward you with the work that you did, or you're going to pay the price. So you can't run from your life lessons, I'm sure you know that already. And it's, the way that I've sort of learned it is if you did the work, you will be rewarded 3 times. And if you didn't, well, you have an opportunity to learn the lesson again. Such is being human. So it's not that you're going to be, punished or karma. Karma just means a life lesson. Can we just stop wielding karma as a hammer that we're, slamming people over the head with? That is not the case. So inner work that sets you up for success. That is the best way to sum this up. Did you do the inner work that is now going to set you up for the success as Saturn moves direct? And if you did, congratulations, and you will start to see things move faster and easier. And if you didn't, that's okay. You get another chance to learn it again. So it is really a great time to set up your step-by-step game plan, budgets, things that help you get what you want. I think that's the best way to talk about Saturn. And are you living up to the responsibilities that you have and the purpose that you came here for? Because everyone around the age of 27 to 30, 31 sometimes, because Saturn goes retrograde, there's a moment in time that everybody goes through at that stage. It's called Saturn return. And Saturn comes back to its original position in your chart. And at that point, it's almost like inception. Everything shifts and changes to then support the next 30 years of your life. Saturn is a very important timekeeper in our charts. And so with Saturn going direct now, this is going to be a really wonderful opportunity for society to come together in humanitarian, love and connection to each other. But your Aquarius is very much a kind of a cold intellectual sign, if you will. They're about facts and ideas and information. Brilliant, brilliant. And, I think I wrote down some things: rational, humanitarian. They're also a contrarian. They like to see the other side. All the air signs have a duality to it. And this week is going to be all about that duality, right? Libra is about balance. Gemini is about the duality of the signs: introvert, extrovert, information versus doing. And then Aquarius is about that humanitarian, but also contrarian, right? I'm here for humanity, but really, what does that mean, right? Let's think about that. So it's almost dissecting it, and also a rebel against anything that is structure, right? They're like, oh, this is a box, I'm going to break it. I'm not going to live in that box. You can't put an Aquarian in a box. So this Saturn moving through that, it's interesting. It's breaking up the old, and it's been working with Pluto and Capricorn to also break up those old outdated structures and old man concepts in the world. So I hope that helps you this week. This is an important, wonderful week. We're going to start to see energy starting to shift here. And as we do see that changing, we're going to then see wonderful new things come and possibilities abounding for us. So wishing you a wonderful week ahead. Thanks for being here. I appreciate you. Have the best week. Bye.